Okay, so I've got 3 Wright J5s to rebuild. The first one's on the Spirit. This is the second one. It's going on Orion M2. In the engine there's 3 roller bearings. These are the 2 main bearings. This is a front bearing, it's a thrust bearing. And in the back, the crankshaft comes out through the accessory case. There's a bronze bushing with a Babbit liner inside of it. It's all casted into it. So after years and years of wear, the bearing gets loose on the shaft, you lose oil pressure. To fix that, you polish the shaft to make sure it's round. You re-pour the bearing and you machine it to fit the crankshaft. Over here's the rear case at the top. This is the bearing I'm talking about. You can see the silver Babbit inside of it. And it's a 1/1000th press fit into the case. If you take this and put it on my crankshaft, which this is the surface it has to run on right here, you see it's too loose. The only way to fix that then is to re-pour the bearing and make it a tighter bearing, tighter fit. So I've got it all set up in the other room. We'll go in there and take a look at that. So the bearing's removed from the case. I made a steel fixture to hold the bearing to pour it in, to put it into the lathe, so I can actually turn it. So the idea is to pour the Babbit, melted Babbit down this funnel I made, and it will run into the pocket, and centrifugal force will throw the Babbit out against the bronze bushing, and it'll weld itself there, and it'll be a lot better bearing because there's no flaws in it. There's no, the molecules are tighter and the Babbit and everything else. So hopefully, if it all works out right. So what I'm going to have to do now is heat this up. I'll turn the lathe on, heat this up till it's warm, and I'll be able to see the Babbit glowing in there. It looks wet. Once it looks wet, it's time to get the Babbit in it. If you go too long on that, you'll burn your solder tin away and then the Babbit doesn't stick. So 400 RPMs is the way you want to go. I've melted some Babbit here, but it's not, we got to heat it up, so bear with me a second. I don't suggest you try this at home. It's kind of dangerous. Anytime you got melted metal flying around, you gotta really watch yourself. Doesn't take a whole lot of heat to melt Babbit. A little bit harder than lead, but This is a willow tree limb. You use a green willow tree limb to get all the slag off the top of the Babbit. And it sticks to the tree. You want to get all those impurities out of there. Up to the skin. This is the dangerous part. You really need 3 hands to do this. Keep it running, keep it until it cools enough to where it takes a set. Pretty good. We'll let that cool for just a minute. I'll get a flashlight and we can look in here. Yeah, you can see the Babbit went all the way to the back. What you see bubbling up here is putty. There's a special putty, high temperature stuff you use to seal up any cracks. That keeps the Babbit from flying up the wall like I did on the last one. And hopefully not flying up your arm or in your face. So we'll take this out to the other room and take it apart, and then I'll show you the setup. Way a bit warm yet. So there's the bearing that's poured. It's plenty thick. By the time it's machined out in the lathe, it will be perfect. There's always a little bit of stuff hanging on it, but that'll come right off. So I'll clean it up and I'll put it in the lathe and bore it, and then we'll take some more pictures. This piece actually came off, it's not supposed to. Anyway, total disclosure. The idea is to put the bushing inside this piece. Before you do it though, you take the torch and you put it on just acetylene, and you smoke up the inside of these parts real good so that the Babbit won't stick to it. And what these do is these make a dam so that the Babbit will stay in there and it'll build it up thicker before it comes out this big hole. If you see Babbit coming out of that hole, you know the bushing's plenty thick. So anyway, you put the bushing in there like this. You put this cap on there. You bolt it all back together, and you saw the rest. So this is after it's rough bored. You can see it, it's really thick. You can see how thick the Babbit is. It only has to be about half of what the brass is, so it's got a long ways to bore out, but you can see inside there's no imperfections or holes or anything. It's really nice stuff. So I need to surface it a little bit, and then this side will also blend in. Final product ready to install.